Guys, today is April 15th. It's a Monday, and I'll be going over the trade recap from today. Surprisingly, a lot more action than I thought, especially considering how we started the day. So I'm going to hop right into it here. So the first trade I took today, which I did not signal, was Costco. I did write this trade in the daily plan, and it worked pretty perfectly, so that I want to cover it, right? So I said with Costco, if we can gap over yesterday's or Friday's high, as well as last week's high, any type of retest of last week's high, or this little pivot I had here at 734.9s, or Friday high in general, and back over the opening print, we can long that up towards 740s. And so I actually took a couple of the 740 calls at about 4.8 or 4.9 as this 5-minute close here above the opening print, risking underneath as my stop loss, and it pretty much went straight up to target with zero drawdown. I decided to close this in full at the level right here. Yes, we did have a little bit of a push higher, like another buck or so, but I said to myself and within the group that any type of break and retest or higher time frame close, higher time frame buy setup, etc., we could take this long for our next target up towards 751, 755s. Obviously, the market faded the entire day, and so did this whole entire move, but nonetheless, this was a good scalp in the morning, and these are the type of trades I like to take right at the bell. Next trade I took was Crowd. So I took this trade mostly on the daily chart, right, based on the daily setup here. And where I took it was right in here. I believe on this candle here I took it, which is a really great entry. And because why did I take it there? We got this break underneath this 306 area, and then this is our first retest of the 8 EMA. I added some half size here in case we did spike, did mess around a bit, or in case we did fully reverse, right? Because I don't typically enter trades for a swing in the middle of the day. I try to stay out of the way between like 11:30, 12 and like 2-ish Eastern time, 2:30 Eastern time. This is one of those rare days where the trend kind of starts or like really accelerates midday. So I had a bunch of alerts go off, so that's why I entered in here. And it pretty much was another zero drawdown trade. We took the 295, 290 put spreads in here for about, I think, my fill was 0.92. Some people got slightly higher, but even from the slightly higher fill, they went up about 60-65%. And so the main thing that I was looking at here, looking at this daily chart, right? This at the time, we were around like 304s. We were breaking last week low. This was technically like day one of the continuation of a sell-off off the daily 8 EMA. So I'm looking for more of a sell-off here. Looking at the weekly, last week we did close underneath the weekly 8 for the first time in, months, basically since like down in here towards last summer. So the target in here was this level around 290.5, which also is where the weekly 20 lines up. So personally, and this could bite me in the butt. At the time of recording this, it's obviously after hours, so we'll see what happens. But I have my full position on. It's not a large position, but I still do have full size, and I'm holding that there. So we'll see what happens. If we do get a gap down tomorrow, start pushing down toward these 290s, I'll probably take it off in full, even if we do push lower, even if it's not at max profit. And a move from 299.5 down to here is definitely doable in 1 or 2 or 3 days. So next one we had was in coin. This is a little bit more unconventional for me and the time of entry, because when I entered it, we were around 230, which is like right where the weekly 8 was. But because of the sell-off on the day, and a lot of other factors, especially when it comes to crypto, I wanted to have at least a little bit of exposure for this because I liked the potential, right? So this is the first time testing this weekly 8 in a little bit here. And despite it being the first time, it looked like there was some weakness, right? Looking at the daily here, we cracked under last week low, which is what we wanted to see. And I said, if we get a daily close underneath the weekly 8, we can take this short, first target being 215, 217. We had some accelerated selling to end the day. We were kind of this little mini bear flag, and we dropped from 226s all the way down to 222s. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. If we do test these levels intraday, I will probably close out a good chunk of my position. If we gap under it, right? If we gap under it, I really do think in this case then, for multiple reasons, but number one, the daily EMAs would then flip to the downside. Number two, we would finally get some continuation and taking out this pretty significant pivot, right? So if we were to gap under this 217 pivot, it's safe to say that this area in general is pretty sturdy, right? So next up will be this 208, 206 area, but realistically, I'm going to be looking for this weekly 20 to come into play, which is sitting around 195. So if we do get under this, I will probably roll my puts and maybe get a week or two out 190 puts, targeting this 195 area. So we'll see what happens there for coin. I do have a couple futures trades that I could cover, but I did talk about some of them today during the session. I took a put up in here. I took a small long somewhere in here. Nothing too notable that I think I need to review, especially because this is a longer trade recap. So if anyone has any questions about my entries today with futures, feel free to ask in the chat. Hopefully you guys learned a thing or two and made some money today on Crowd and Coin. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. See you later. Peace.